Here we go. I am gonna share the stream first, or while it's going right now, I'm gonna share it. It's I gotta share it to the Discord and video announcements. Oh shoot, what? It's using the wrong thumbnail. Hold on. It's not supposed to happen. Alright, so that's the wrong thumbnail. Say, it's the... Huh. That's weird. The thumbnail is working, but... Interesting. Alright. There we go. Okay, so... Waiting on our first viewer to come in, and then we'll start it off.
Let's see.
Hopefully we'll get a viewer. I think so. Let me just get the loop. But it definitely looks like the storm's moving a little bit slower than forecasted. The center is around here. So that means it's going to curve more south. I do not know the names of these islands in Vanuatu, so it's hitting Vanuatu. But yeah, it's looking like it's definitely going to make a landfall. It still has a small chance to move. Well, no, it's definitely going to make a landfall. It has to hit one of these islands.
Yeah.
It can't necessarily avoid it.
And then a second landfall.
Yeah, second landfall. Yeah, likely. I mean, it could still dodge it, just barely.
Yeah. I mean, one of the islands is absolutely gonna get a landfall.
And then also New Caledonia, it's gonna hit as well. There we go. Now our first viewer came. All right, it's Kai Carrier. We see the name of that user, Kai Muram. Hello.
I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce it.
Alright, so we're looking at two major cyclones, basically. Our major threats to land right now. We have Cyclone Lola, which is a Category 3 right now by our estimates, has weakened. It's weaker than the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's estimates of 130 mile an hour Cat 4. But yeah, the center's around this point right now. And it is going to be moving a little bit more south than what the forecast shows. It is still going to strike the island of Vanuatu. But yeah, this area I believe is the most populated island of them all. And it is going to be approaching just north of there. But yeah, it is going to be likely making two landfalls, both on this island and then this one, but also potentially this third one right over here. So yeah, the landfall is when the center of the storm moves over land, which we could see. And afterwards, the system is going to be heading out to sea, weakening, thankfully, but it will impact New Caledonia as a post-tropical cyclone. All right, so that's our Lola storm, and then we go over here to our Hamoon, which has rapidly intensified to a Category 3 from a tropical storm. Or here, let me check out how long that took, actually. Oh yeah, it strengthened from a low-end tropical storm to a Category 3 in the matter of 24 hours.
They don't even call it a tropical storm, they just call it a cyclonic storm.
Yeah. But yeah, this would make the season the first out of any other season that we've had four of these major cyclones in one season. Alright, but then we also have Tay, which is a remnant low right now. You can see it just swirling around. Still dumping some rainfall on the coastline of Yemen. Right, then if we go to our next storm, Tammy over here. Tammy is expected to curve towards Bermuda. Oh shoot, I don't have that. There it is. With 50 mile an hour winds or so in the area just north. And I'll pull up the ensembles in a bit to show you where exactly it could be heading after Bermuda. Alright, our next storm is going to be 21L over here, which is a tropical depression, nearly a remnant low at this point. And you can see how much convection just got lost from it. The clouds right over here just disappeared. So yeah, now there's more convection over here, dumping heavy amounts of rainfall in parts of Costa Rica and Nicaragua. And yeah, the system is gonna it's gonna be still have a mid-level circulation or so. Won't be much, but it's gonna be approaching the Eastern Pacific, where it could have a little bit of a shot at redeveloping somewhat, but I doubt it. Yeah, but basically, this area has a little bit of a shot.
I will
All right now,
say, that storm has lasted a lot longer than I thought it would.
yep. All right, over to now Otis, which is a very increasing threats for parts of oh, they have okay, so they updated the forecast, but yeah, it is going to be an increasing threats for parts of Acapulco, that area with a hurricane warning issued. This is also impacting the same area that Max did earlier, and so yeah, this is increasing.
It's
Like
stronger.
it's worse. Yeah, so it's likely going to be a hurricane at least Category 1 or so. Wherever it strikes, it could still go along the coastline, and it still could go straight up earlier and die out quicker. But yeah, if it's it's still going to make a landfall likely before finally dying out. But yeah, it is going to be a hurricane threat for the area. Just it's going to be approaching within the next 36 hours or so, or making landfall at least. The conditions are starting to deteriorate within the next 12 hours. That's when the rainfall starts reaching the coastline. Right, but yeah, looking at Norma, Norma's dead right now, basically, in the there was its
Normally, it
circulation.
doesn't even exist.
Yep, and so right now, basically, all the moisture from the system is over parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, those areas. Right, now going over to I want to show you all the conditions each of these storms are facing. Because if it weren't for the bad conditions with Otis, we could have been looking at a Category 5 with it. All right, but starting well with the Atlantic, we have Hurricane Tammy. Now let me actually go back and do it like this. All right, and model data. Pulling this up shortly. All right, here we go. These are the model runs on Tammy. As you can see, though, on the top, wind shear is going to be a big threat for it. It's already in the
Yeah.
point of where it's neutral and stuff, and it's going to be getting a whole lot worse pretty soon. When it gets very unfavorable. Sea surface temperatures won't really be a problem with it because it's going to transition to a post-tropical cyclone around here. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter if it gets below 26 degrees Celsius. Dry air is going to be a little bit of a problem for it. Right now, on satellite imagery, you can actually see somewhat of that dry air approaching all throughout. But yeah, that's mainly Tammy's forecast, in terms of conditions. If we go to our next system, which is Tropical Depression 21L, this one is here we go.
That's currently over land.
Yep. So yeah, sea surface temperatures don't matter on it. Nope. So yeah, here are the conditions right now. Wind shear is close to none right now. Sea surface temperatures were very favorable. Humidity is amazing. So yeah, this had the perfect conditions to rapidly organize. Um, and so it is going to be. It does have a chance to last for the next day or two
All right,
over
so
over lands. What?
I have got to go.
Yep, right. Alright, thank you for hopping in.
I'll be back. I might be back, but within like the next like
Yep,
I'll give it like 20 minutes or so.
alright. See ya.
Cool. See you.
Alright, so this system right here is going to have some favorable conditions over land, which means it's going to prolong its remnant low phase, where it could survive all the way to the eastern Pacific, which some models show may intensify once again as it does that. So yeah, because of its slow moving, how slow it's moving, Otis will already be making landfall. So this has another shot at becoming a system in the eastern Pacific, or basically becoming 21L again as a remnant low over here. But yeah, the problem with this though is that wind shear's on the rise, so it's gonna really prevent it from doing much, thankfully. But humidity, sea surface temperatures are favorable. So yeah, that's why it's basically going to be a prolonged rainmaker threat for Nicaragua and Costa Rica. Alright, so this next system is Otis. This is the one we're watching out for, making landfall in Mexico. Alright, if we go over here, the main issue with this is going to be the wind shear increase. As you can see over here, wind shear, I mean, it's not going to be much as what we were forecasting earlier, I don't think. Yeah, earlier we were forecasting massive amounts of wind shear, but now it's looking a lot less than what we were forecasting. But sea surface temperatures, of course, are favorable. Dry air, pretty much favorable. So yeah, that's why we could be looking at a hurricane or even a Category 2 out of this. Maybe even a major. That can't be ruled out. Right. Now on to our next system, which is Tay, which has definitely weakened a lot since our last stream, thankfully. Alright, so yeah, here's where it is now, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, so it's overland. As you can see, though, it's basically dead at this point, almost. Wind shear's on the massive increase right now. Dry air is going to really get to it, and sea surface temperatures don't matter anymore, so yeah, it's basically going to be dead. Alright, now looking at our next system, Hamoon. This is a larger threat to Bangladesh, that area. Oh, is this right now? Hold on, let me look at this. No, I don't think it's right there. Right now, at least. But yeah, it's close to the area. There could be a 35, like tropical storm force winds approaching the coastline. Or wait, is that actually its center? I doubt it. I don't think its center is about to make landfall, no. Alright, but going over to its model data, what we were looking at earlier, shear is what thankfully killed this system, mostly, as you can see. But yeah, it had a jet interaction. Basically, this little jet's over in on this little land. Basically, it interacts with the jet stream or whatever, and then it's rapidly strengthens due to it. But then afterwards, it kills it rapidly due to higher wind shear. So yeah, this is why it's dying rapidly. Sea surface temperatures aren't really a problem, and it's gonna end soon. Dry airs, does have dry air around it. Alright, so now it's time for Cyclone Lola. This one is a strong storm still. It is a Category 3 on our analysis on it. Here we go. So, pulling this up momentarily. Alright, so yeah, here's its conditions right now. It is, wind shear is low, but it is increasing, and it's going to continue to increase throughout its whole life. Sea surface temperatures, as you can see, it's becoming an issue with it, and after it strikes land, it is going to not be favorable anymore. So this is one of our first storms where we see sea surface temperatures are a reason for why weakening is likely occurring. Dry air is also somewhat of an issue of it, not much though. So yeah, now let's go over to our next thing. CIMSS, I believe. Alright, so yeah, let's start out with the Atlantic again. Let me pull this up on stream. Nope, okay. Give me moments. Hold on. Actually check something real quick. Oh yeah, hold on. Alright, here we go. So this is the storm right now. It is a Category 1, as said before. Here are its conditions, though. As you can see, sea surface temperatures, not really an issue. It has a good, it's moist. Not much is ruining it in terms of dry air. Oceanic heat content's favorable. Are there any microbe? Yes, there is one. As you can see, though, it is trying to develop a core, having a difficult time doing so. Let me look at all this stuff. Alright, so yeah, if we go over here, we can look at surface observations, if there are any right now. Nope. Alright, shear, though, as you can see, these little lines are showing where the wind's being blown to, so it's blowing this way. That's why if the center's right here, the clouds are all around it on this side, and it's just, it's blowing it that direction. So yeah, shear's becoming unfavorable right now. It's in the unfavorable category right now. It's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, mainly due to this cold front that's interacting with the storm. I can actually pull that up in a moment. If I go to Ocean Prediction Center, and then go to Atlantic. Yeah, here you can see let me zoom in some more so you can see it better. But yeah, here's this cold front right up here. Let me zoom down a little bit more. Yeah, but there's the cold front. There's a little bit of a trough, and yeah, it is interacting with the system. And it is going to be continuing to merge with it somewhat before it gets a little bit of an opening, where it can finally then turn towards Bermuda. Right over here. I believe so. Is that where Bermuda is? Yeah, one of these areas. Oh, yeah, right over here is Bermuda. Yeah, it is going to be curving there. And then I'll show you all where it's going to be going afterwards. Yeah, so this is the storm over here. ASCAT made a pass. That's good. Lightning's not really near the core. That's good in terms of unfavorable conditions. Right now, let's go over to 21. Here it is, just formed recently. Fred imagery, can't see much of it. Yeah, sea surface temperatures don't matter, but it was extremely favorable. You can see it's starting to approach drier air over Central America. It is going to go over, let me see, oceanic heat content was very favorable, and I mean, we can't see the Eastern Pacific on this imagery, but it is also favorable here. Let's see, no microwave passes recently. Yeah, but over here we can see shear, it's not a problem at all. It's in a very, very favorable environment right now, which gives it a long survival chance on making it past Nicaragua into the Eastern Pacific as a remnant low. It's got made somewhat of a pass recently. Yeah, that's 21L. Now going over to Otis, which is expected to become a hurricane. Right now, it is approaching land soon, as you can see. Parts of the clouds are already hitting lands right now, but it's going to continue to intensify rather quickly. Sea surface temperatures are becoming increasingly favorable. Dry air, as you can see, though, there is a bit of dry air over Mexico right in this area. So yeah, that's going to be a problem for the system. But besides dry air, oceanic heat content's very good, and as also you can see, the oceanic heat content for that other disturbance, or 21L. Besides that, there's a microwave pass showing it getting an eye together. So yeah, this may already be a hurricane, I'd say. So yeah, it could become a Cat 2 or Cat 3 as it approaches land in Mexico. So yeah, they need to be on the lookout for this. Right. Now, if I show shear, this shows how it is favorable for the area. This green is favorable right over here, and the yellow is also neutral. But as it gets to this area, that's when it gets unfavorable, which, that's going to be after it strikes land. So that's a problem with this. If it strikes land before conditions start getting unfavorable. All right. Now our next system here is Tay. Let me pull it up on this. This shows how dry air is impacting it soon. Let me pull this up. Sea surface temperatures are not really used in the terms of this, but yeah. As you can see, dry air is a major problem. It doesn't have much of a protective shield anymore, as all this area is basically dry air. So yeah, microwave pass shows nearly nothing with the storm. But yeah, shear, as you can see, it's getting a problem, and if you look at it closely, the arrows are turning this way, which means the clouds are all to the northwest of the storm, west-northwest. Next storm is Hamoon, which is forecasted to make landfall as a Category 1. So here's the latest imagery. It's around halfway between those points. But yeah, sea surface temperatures favorable. Moisture is good with it, but the main problem with this is going to be the the wind shear. So here, if I go to wind shear, as you can see though, the jet stream's roughly in this area, by the way, or it's roughly doing, one of these out here, so it had an interaction with it, but as you can see, the arrows are blowing it this way, which means even though the center's here, its clouds are all on the northwestern side, getting blown very far away from the center. Alright, going back over to our next system, which is our final system on this is Cyclone Lola, which is a Category 3 on our estimates, Category 4 officially. This kind of storm is going to be approaching Vanuatu soon. As you can see, though, the sea surface temperatures are getting unfavorable rather quickly. After it approaches green, that's when you expect no more strengthening, mainly from tropical storms and stuff like that. So that's going to be a problem. But as you can see, though, the moisture is very, very good out of the system. There is a little bit of dry air intruding, though. As you can see over here, there's a little bits of dry air trying to get into the system. But yeah, overall, the moisture is very, very healthy. Let me actually zoom out on this imagery. Look at that. It looks amazing over there. Alright, but if I go over to shear right now, there shouldn't be much of it. As you can see, it's in the green, favorable environment. Yeah, it's going to be approaching unfavorable conditions, so that's why you see weakening happen rather quickly. And afterwards, the system should be dying out soon. Alright, so now let me show you all the track forecasts for these systems. Oh, well, okay. For the track forecast, let's go over to do them in order. From Hurricane Tammy first. As you can see, though, these are the sea surface temperatures and the conditions, basically. As you can see, though, it goes into the green area, which is basically unfavorable sea surface temperatures. But by the time it does that, it's a post-tropical cyclone, so it doesn't really matter as much. Oh, my bad. Just close out of the website entirely. Alright, but yeah, continuing with this, though, this shows the chances of where it's going, roughly. As you can see, though, it's pretty split. It's a 50-50 shot on where it goes. Does it go towards Florida as a post-tropical system, or does it go out to sea as a post-tropical system? It's still uncertain as of today. But as you can see, the overall model run shows it's on going out to sea roughly, but it's still very uncertain. It is going to make that turn towards Bermuda. We're very confident of that. Oh, not again, right? But yeah, afterwards we don't know what's going to happen with it. Yeah, but as you can see though, over here, lots of models take it up to Category 2 status over here before weakening it out to sea as a post-tropical cyclone. Um, but yeah, here's the forecast. It's pretty uncertain where it's going to go. And as you can see over here, installment runs still split 50-50 between which areas they go over to. Here's the most recent recon flight into the storm, which was a while ago, like 2 days ago. But yeah, so that's Tammy. Now if I go over to our next system, which is Tropical Depression 21L, so you can see it had very favorable environments, but now it's going out to sea, or going over land. But yeah, afterwards it could become a brief tropical storm again, out to sea. You see it, or it could just die completely. Yeah, over here you can see the ensembles taking it out to sea, which it could become something. Here's the D-ship model. They have it weakening rather quickly. Yeah, so I mean, they do have it strengthening 1 knots, looks like, so that's not much, but, oh well, max potential intensity. Oh, geez, okay. But, yeah, it is going to be weakening very quickly, thankfully, out to sea. Alright, so the next system to look at is Otis. This shows the sea surface temperatures are really favorable for this, as it approaches land. Category 1 expected as a peak. Yeah, but here's the model runs over here, and then it drops down very rapidly. So yeah, it is expected to strike land pretty soon, within the next 36 hours. But yeah, rapid intensification can't be ruled out. The D-ship model shows like a third chance of rapid intensification, so yeah, that's not good for this. Alright. Next thing is Tay. As you can see, it's dying out now. Very quickly, and it's going to be going towards Saudi Arabia as a weak system, just with cloud cover mainly is what's expected. So yeah, that's with that. Right, going back over to our next system, which is Hamoon in the North Indian Ocean right here. As you can see, models all predict it to weaken rather quickly, and then here's where it makes landfall roughly, and then it just dies out. Ensemble runs, you can see it as well. It goes from like the yellows to greens to blues, just weakening out. And yeah, so that's mainly that system. Really intensified very quickly. Alright, so our next system is Tropical Cyclone Lola. This is a powerhouse of a storm. And it's continued to shift to the south. Over here you can see the model runs how south it's actually been moving. And it may even, basically it's making sure that, like, the further south it goes, the further west it goes towards New Caledonia, basically. And that's going to be pretty bad for the area. I mean, it is expected to strike both New Caledonia and Vanuatu, and it is nearing Vanuatu now, even more south than what was first forecasted, and now it's roughly over here. So if you factor that out, it may miss New Caledonia in a direct hit. It still is going to hit it. It's going to be a broad system by the time it reaches this area. So yeah, most of New Caledonia will get impacts from it. Oh, my bad. Alright, so now if I go over here, you can see most models take it straight towards Vanuatu, then New Caledonia out to sea. And then, yeah, we could see some slight intensification when it does that. Not much, though, as a post-tropical cyclone. And yeah, you can see the little occlusion right over here from this red model, have it looping around and then going down south. Some models show that, but yeah, it is in a very powerful storm, which is, as you can see, Category 4 officially, 145 miles an hour. Yeah, it is approaching the islands of Vanuatu. Intensified very, very fast in the area, rapid intensification, I believe. And yeah, thankfully that is going to be going out to sea soon. Yeah, someone says Lola apparently on the news is a Cat 5. It's a Category 5 on the Australian scale. So there is the official scale, like of the worldwide scale, and then there's the Australian and Fiji scale. Um, as you can see, they classify a Category 1 as a tropical, or like our tropical storm for them is a Category 1. Our Category 1, uh, or half of Category 1 stays for us is Category 2 for them. Our Category 1 through 3 is their Category 3. Their Category 4 is our Category 4. And at around 125 miles an hour, or 145 miles an hour, is a Category 5 for them. Which is for us, it's 160, which is a Cat 5. So yeah, officially on the Australian scale and Fiji scale, it is a Category 5, but for us, it's only a Category 4, or roughly a Category 3 right now. But yeah, the system's center is moving slower than what was first forecasted. You can see the eye, and if you track the eye right over here, you can see how it is moving a little bit slower. It's around this area right now. It's going to be it's a little bit south than what was forecasted. Yeah, it is approaching the area, and it is going to be a powerful storm as it reaches New Caledonia. Something with this system, though, is that the wind or the storm surge is going to be especially bad on some of these islands. Forgot to forecast that as well. As the center reaches this area, the overall let me just double check that's correct. Yes, okay, yeah. So the southern side of the storm is going to be getting the worst storm surge. So yeah, on the and also southern side for the eastern coastline and northern side on the west coast. Like this area is getting the worst storm surge when it approaches this area. So yeah, and it's all dependent on where you are. Let's say the storm made landfall at that exact point, this side would get the worst storm surge in terms of this way, and then this side would get the worst storm surge in terms of that way. So yeah, that's what we're mainly expecting for these areas. If it did make landfall, and let's say this point, these would be the areas getting the worst kind of storm surge, or like where are they getting the worst kind of storm surge? Mainly just in like these little areas and stuff. But yeah, afterwards it should start weakening, and it's going to be making landfall in several islands in Vanuatu. Which were already impacted from two major cyclones last year, or this year actually, earlier this year. So yeah, it is going to be major threats to land, and it's already impacting land. So we could see over a foot of rainfall, which is I don't know how much that is actually. Let me do, or 1.5 feet of rainfall, nearly 500 millimeters of rainfall could fall within the next 3 days in islands of Vanuatu. So yeah, afterwards, after it does, that is going to weaken. Less rainfall is expected to fall because it is speeding up. So yeah, that is good news. After it finally passes, it will be less of a threat, but it is going to approach New Caledonia as a post-tropical cyclone, which means it's a little bit larger. I'll pull up model runs on it to show you all what I mean by that. Where is it? Lola. Here we go. So yeah, this is what's forecasted out of this storm, and as you can see, though, it does get a little bit larger afterwards as it approaches New Caledonia. Over here, and if I pull up winds, and then after it passes, it's finally going to be a large post-tropical system. But yeah, as you can see, these little red lines and stuff mark area, or the green is tropical storm force, and the pink is hurricane force, or cyclone force. Yeah, so we could see cyclone force winds on the island, and many of the islands are going to receive tropical storm force winds. Yeah, so after it finally passes the area, it is going to lose most of the tropical storm force, and is just going to be a main rainmaker for the area of New Caledonia. And after it does that, though, it will finally be no more worries, mainly, or it may even impact New Zealand. Let me just double check if it does that or not. Oh, wrong thing. Yeah, so it is expected to impact New Zealand after it after it hits New Caledonia. You can see this little bit of a cold front right down here, which is going to try and this low right here is going to interact with this, and then they're going to do a little bit of a spiral then down. As you can see, right over here does a little bit of a loop due to that other low, and strengthen slightly and then go back out. So we could see a big low going towards New Zealand. If I pull up another one like the GFS or something, should be able to see it impacts New Zealand. Yeah, barely over there, but yeah, you can see it's hurricane force winds and stuff impacting Vanuatu, and then it hits New Caledonia, and then it finally merges with another post-tropical cyclone, and then hits New Zealand. It's not going to be as much of a threat, but it's going to be hitting worse than New Caledonia got hits. Alright, Kira, Mira, or Kai, Miram. What are you asking for? You said what? Don't understand what that means, sorry. Alright, hold on, I'm just double checking something right now. Off screen. Alright, thank you to whoever just subscribed. That brings up the total to $170. There we go. And yeah, so the system, there are two major threats to land as discussed before. Lola and Hamoon, but we are going to see another major threat soon, which is Otis. So I do want to talk about it a little bit more. As you can see, it does have a very good core to it. I mean, it is developing an eye wall right now, and it is overall has the structure of a hurricane in terms of its banding and stuff like that. But yeah, it does have mainly banding to the northern side. Basically, it's giving itself breathing room right now, and it is acting as somewhat of a shield against the dry air that it is going to be encountering. It's just mainly the northern side isn't as much protected from the dry air as the rest of the storm. So yeah, that might cause some weakening. I doubt it. It does have very favorable conditions, so yeah, we could be seeing a Category 1, 2, or even 3 as it approaches land in Acapulco. Landfall in around that region, maybe a little bit east or west. Yeah, so basically, we're looking at a broad area of a potential landfall, like 260 miles of area where it could make landfall. Mainly going to be on just rounds. It's not. We're not entirely sure where it's going to make landfall. Might shift to the east towards Acapulco. Don't know. It's looking like that's overall the storm has shifted more to the east. So yeah, we may be looking at a landfall in Acapulco before it finally, and that'd be a very bad situation. So we're hoping that it shifts back to the west or to the more to the east, so it can finally dodge a landfall in a major populated area. If it does that, that's going to be really good news. And also, we did get new cones out. I do want to look at with all of you. Tammy had a new advisory. Basically, tropical depression producing heavy rainfall over Nicaragua. That was expected from the 5 a.m. advisory. Oh, okay, so I forgot they didn't do an advisory. The only new one that we got was Otis expected to become a hurricane before reaching the coast of southern Mexico, where we got a new public advisory on this. No new changes in terms of watches or warnings, but yeah, hurricane warning is in effect for Punta Maldonado westward to. I'm not gonna. Zaihuetanjo, Hanho, or then hurricane watch is in effect for Lagunas, Chachao to Punta Maldonado. Tropical storm warning is in effect for that same exact area. So yeah, rain. Okay, so here's the key threats for the area. Look at this. All right. So rainfall is expected to produce rainfall totals of 5 to 10 inches with maximum amounts of 15 inches through Friday across Guerrero and the western coastal sections of Oaxaca or Oaxaca. This rainfall will produce flash and urban flooding along with mudslides in areas of higher terrain. Right. Wind hurricane conditions are expected within portions of the hurricane warning area by late tonight and Wednesday. So it is going to deteriorate within the next 12 hours or so. That's when we'll start to see even worse conditions. Tropical storm conditions are expected to first reach the coast within the warning areas later today or this evening, and then spread northwestward within the warning areas through Wednesday. Storm surge, a dangerous storm surge is expected to produce significant coastal flooding near and to the east of where the center makes landfall. Near the coast, the storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Surf swells generated by Otis will affect portions of the southern coast of Mexico during the next couple of days. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. Please consult your products from your local weather office. Yeah, that's the primarily effects expected. So the eastern part of it is going to get the worst storm surge. So if it does make landfall over here, Acapulco will get the worst kind of storm surge out of it. But if it does strike directly over Acapulco, or maybe a little bit to the east of it, which would be a better case scenario, the storm surge would be worse on the eastern side and miss the big city. And keep in mind, when it looks like this, though, this little bit of a bay area, let's say the center did strike right over here, or, in this area, basically. The storm surge will be flowing in this direction, and it will get caught up in the bay. So that can really provide very bad conditions in terms of storm surge, and it's going to take a while for it to recede as well. So, I mean, if it does hit directly to the west or where the forecast is showing, it would be a very catastrophic scenario for Acapulco. Well, let's say it shifted 30 miles or just 5 miles to the east of Acapulco, then we'll be looking at flow offshore, which would be better for the area. But it would increase the wind threats. But overall, they're likely to get hurricane conditions. So, I mean, if it did hit to the east, that would bring less storm surge. But it needs to strike to the east of Acapulco, like 5 miles to the east or more, for it to actually lower the storm surge threat. So, I mean, it all depends. It's a double-edged sword, how you want the conditions. The rainfall would be worse and stuff like that. But overall, storm surge looks like the major threat in Acapulco, in terms of this little bay area, due to how bad the storm surge can be. So yeah, if we go back over to something like Tammy, though, or Otis, though, real quick, Otis is developing a core. I do want to reiterate that, though, which means it is trying to develop an eye wall out of the system. It's mainly on the north and western side, I believe. If I pull it up on here, you'll be able to clearly see its eye wall. If this does work, if we can see. Never mind, looks like I need to use this, but still, that's fine. Right. Pull this up on stream right now. If I pull up the microwave pass on the storm, you'll be able to see what I mean with an eye wall trying to form. Mainly on the northern side, western side, and southern side. The southern side is the best in terms of an eye wall of it. But yeah, overall you can see how it's trying to develop it. It only needs like a little bit on the eastern side, and then it's complete. If I pull up shear, though, that may be why. Yeah, it's not much, but yeah, there's a little bit of shear on it that may inhibit but it is going to rapidly organize, and we could be looking at a Category 1 upgrade soon. So yeah, that does mean it is rapidly organizing, and I mean, as in you can see the overall structure. These are the kind of storms that like to develop an eye. So yeah, another thing though is that this moisture is providing needed rainfall in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and parts of northwestern Louisiana. All this moisture is from 21L and Otis, and parts of Norma are providing this kind of moisture that they need. So that's good in that area, but it is bad in other areas, especially Nicaragua and Costa Rica, which are getting this whole plume of convection over here. Let me actually look at the windy radar. So here I don't expect to be able to see the low level circulation. Who knows, I may be wrong. Yep, you can't see it, but yeah, you can see how much lightning activity. Let me zoom down again. Yeah, a lot of lightning activity from these systems. And yeah, this plume of convection and rain is now approaching the areas of Nicaragua. Um, and so that's where the heaviest rainfall is with this. Let me see if I can turn on radar. Yeah, here we go. There you can see the heavy amounts of rainfall approaching the area, the coastline of Nicaragua, parts of Bluefields, that area. Yeah, it's a lot of convection that blew up recently. And yeah, it's bad for the area as well, especially. Alright, hello, Kamira. Welcome back from dinner. Alright, but yeah, it is still a big threat for the area. We're still monitoring it for, just an overall bad time in the area. Alright, let me go back to this, though. Yeah, so afterwards, those are the main threats, but yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, though, is Tammy going to head for Florida. If we go over to the model runs, mainly Hurricane Tammy, it's pretty split amongst where is it going to go. Is it going to go to the west out here towards Florida and the Bahamas? Or is it going to curve back over to the east out to sea near the Azores? That it's pretty uncertain. As you can see here, though, this takes the averages out of all of them. It does show that it is going to be. This one shows that it's mainly showing it because the average of this point is combining over here with over here, which can shift it down in this area. So yeah, overall, you can see how much more spread it is than average. Over here, you can see how confidence it is, very, very low, and close to none at the very end. So yeah, we're not very certain of what it's going to do after the 5 day period, mainly even after the 4 day period. Um, so yeah, that's what that's the sum, and yeah, this takes the overall spread once again. So we'll know better in a day or two, likely on where it's going to go. Here it is. You can see the spread overall once again. The ensembles, it mainly takes it towards Florida as a weaker system, but some of them do take it out to sea as well as a stronger system. And we don't know what's going to happen. It's a 50-50 shot on where it's going. But yeah, that's what's happening with this kind of system. Alright, and here's the chances again. As you can see, it's like a 30-40% chance of reaching the Bahamas and Florida. There's a 30-40% chance of going out to sea as well. So it's pretty uncertain. It's not going to be like a major threat to any land areas like the Bahamas or Florida. It's just going to be a little bit of a post-tropical little spin in the area. That's not going to do much. Maybe increase the king tides, but that's all roughly. Right. So I am going to show the GFS forecast. There is, and also, yeah, we could get a snowstorm in the north, near Montana and stuff. The whole area there could get a little bit of snow in the state of Montana. Yeah, we may be looking at another snow, really powerful cold front right over here over the U.S., and that is also going to be providing interesting conditions for Tammy. Over here, it is going to have to interact with that, and that's why it may push it out to sea. We're still wondering if it's going to do that or not. Yep, so that's going to be a big, interesting thing to look out for. If we do show the forecast, though, over here, you can see that cold front developing right down here, where there could be some snow and stuff. And then this is mainly the remnants of Tammy, right over here, which may be continuing to move south towards the Bahamas and Florida. So yeah, we're looking out for that as well. Right. The overall heavy snowfall is expected in parts of Montana, mainly throughout the next 3 days or so. As you can see here as well, very, very high amounts. This little dark blue. And you can see the snow already occurring in the area. Yeah, parts of moderate snow, not much right now at least, but it is going to increase. Yeah, we do have some thunderstorms near Wisconsin and Michigan. That's also something. It looks like the stream's connection isn't doing so well right now, so I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. Just my closing thoughts on all of these. Starting out with Tammy, it's pretty uncertain where it's going to go after the 5-day period. Is it going to curve towards Florida, or is it going to curve out to sea? We're pretty uncertain out of that. Going over to our next thing, or we'll know this better in a day or two, basically. 21L is going to approach the Eastern Pacific, where it does have a slight chance of redevelopment. Over here, like a 10% shot, I'd give it. Otis is likely a hurricane at this point and is approaching Acapulco. That area and likely will make a Category 1, 2, or 3 landfall in that area. Going over to our next system, Tej is dying out over Yemen. The clouds are going to be approaching parts of Saudi Arabia, this area. There'll be little bits of cloud cover and stuff. Right, going over to Hamoon now. Hamoon, we're getting radar on it, and not see that. Alright, so yeah. We're getting radar on the storm right now, and it is going to be approaching Bangladesh, that area. We'll finally try and die out to sea, thankfully. Yeah, so, or die over land. So yeah, it is going to be approaching as a very powerful storm right now. We'll get a new cone out soon. But yeah, that system is a very powerful storm, which was really unexpected to do this. It really blew up very fast. And then other than that, we have Lola, which is over here about to make landfall. Its center is actually in this kind of area. But yeah, it is going to be a very powerful storm. Category 3 likely at landfall. And then Cat 4 on the Australian scale. I believe so, at least let me double check the scale. No, Category 3 on both scales, okay. So afterwards it is going to go out to sea, approach New Caledonia, and that's that. So that's my thoughts on all these systems. We'll likely be doing another stream tomorrow on these systems, so yeah. Possibly. It depends, yeah, on Otis. Yeah, well, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in tomorrow's stream, maybe. All right, and stay safe, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.